Picture this. You're in a meeting. Your colleague takes credit for your idea. Again. Your boss praises them. You sit there, silent, powerless. Sound familiar? Now imagine this. You walk into that same room, but this time, people lean in when you speak. Your ideas get implemented. You've become the person everyone wants on their team. What changed? The difference isn't luck. It's not charisma you're born with. It's understanding something most people never learn, the invisible rules that govern power, influence, and success. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial, most banned, and most brutally honest books ever written, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This book has been called dangerous, manipulative, and amoral. It's been banned in prisons. CEOs study it in secret. Celebrities swear by it. Why? Because it reveals the uncomfortable truth about how the world really works. By the end of this video, you'll understand the core laws that separate the powerful from the powerless, with real examples and practical strategies you can use immediately. But I'm warning you, once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. Let's begin. Before we dive into the laws themselves, let me tell you about the man who wrote this book and why it matters. Robert Greene spent his entire career studying power, not in universities or boardrooms, but by analyzing history's most powerful figures: kings, generals, con artists, seductresses, and strategic masterminds. He studied everyone from Catherine the Great to Machiavelli, from P.T. Barnum to Napoleon Bonaparte. What he discovered shocked him. Power follows patterns. The same strategies that worked 3,000 years ago still work today. The same mistakes that destroyed ancient empires still destroy modern careers. Greene compiled 48 laws, each backed by historical examples, each designed to help you navigate the game of power, whether you're playing offense or defense. Now here's what's important to understand. These laws aren't about being evil or manipulative. They're about awareness. Think of them like learning self-defense. You don't learn martial arts to attack people. You learn them to protect yourself and understand how attacks work. Some of these laws will make you uncomfortable. Good, that means you're paying attention. Let's start with the most fundamental law of all. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Let me tell you about Nicolas Fouquet. In 1661, he was the finance minister to King Louis XIV of France. He was brilliant, wealthy, and ambitious, perhaps too ambitious. Fouquet decided to throw a party at his new chateau to impress the young king. It was the most extravagant party France had ever seen. The gardens were magnificent, the entertainment spectacular, the food divine. Fouquet had created a palace that outshone even the king's residence. The king smiled throughout the evening. He seemed pleased. But 3 weeks later, Fouquet was arrested. His crime? Making the king feel inadequate. He spent the rest of his life in prison. This is Law 1. Never outshine the master. Those above you want to feel secure in their superiority. Make them appear more brilliant than they are, and you'll attain the heights of power. Outshine them, and you'll create fear and resentment. Think about your workplace. You have a great idea in a meeting. Your boss looks uncertain. Here's what most people do wrong. They push harder, trying to prove they're right. They want credit. They want recognition. Here's what someone who understands power does. They plant the seed and let the boss think it was their idea. They say, based on your strategy from last quarter, what if we tried? Suddenly, the boss is the genius, and you're the valuable team member who executes their vision brilliantly. The result? The boss loves you, trusts you, and promotes you. Meanwhile, the person who needed credit got labeled as difficult to work with. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. Hide the extent of your talents. The stars in the sky are beautiful because the sun has set. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Let me tell you about one of history's greatest power players, Otto von Bismarck. In the 1860s, Bismarck wanted to unify Germany under Prussian rule, but if he announced this goal, every neighboring country would have united against him. So what did he do? He concealed his intentions completely. He picked small fights about insignificant issues. He appeared to be a simple diplomat solving minor disputes. Meanwhile, he was systematically isolating his enemies, building alliances, and positioning Prussia for dominance. By the time anyone realized his true goal, it was too late. Germany was unified, and Bismarck had become the most powerful man in Europe. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. Without a clear sense of what you're after, they can't defend against you. They waste energy on false trails while you move toward your real goal. Let's say you want a promotion at work. Most people make the mistake of announcing it. I'm going for the senior manager position. Now everyone knows. Your competitors can sabotage you, your boss feels pressured, your colleagues become defensive. The power move? You never mention the promotion. Instead, you quietly start taking on the responsibilities of that role. You build relationships with the decision makers. You make yourself invaluable. When the position opens, you're the obvious choice, and it seems like it was the company's idea all along. Greene talks about using red herrings. Share a false goal that seems plausible. Let people think you know what you're after. They'll focus on stopping that while you're actually moving in a completely different direction. In negotiations, master negotiators do this constantly. They fight hard for something they don't really want, then reluctantly give it up to get what they actually need. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Paris, 1990s, a time when the city was filled with artists, but one man stood out, Pablo Picasso. But not because he was the best painter. There were many talented artists. Picasso understood something they didn't. Attention is power. He cultivated mystery. He created scandals. He befriended influential people. When he painted his controversial work, people talked about it endlessly. Love it or hate it, they couldn't ignore it. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Everything is judged by appearance. What isn't seen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. But here's the sophisticated part. There are two ways to get attention. Method 1. Surround your name with sensation and scandal. Create an air of mystery. Any attention, even negative, is better than obscurity. Method 2. Create an air of mystery through absence. Once established, occasionally withdraw to make people talk and wonder. Make your appearances rare and spectacular. Look at Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, he's mastered this law. His tweets create headlines. His companies make bold promises. He courts controversy. Why? Because in today's world, attention is currency. Meanwhile, thousands of equally innovative entrepreneurs remain unknown because they're playing it safe and avoiding attention. But here's the critical balance. Once you have attention, you must deliver substance. Attention without achievement is just noise. Attention with achievement is power. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. This law makes people uncomfortable, and it should, but understanding it is crucial for your protection. In ancient China, there was a general who defeated his enemy in battle. The enemy's army surrendered, and the general showed mercy. He let the defeated leader live, thinking this was the honorable thing to do. 5 years later, that same enemy returned with a new army and destroyed the general's entire kingdom. The lesson was learned too late. A small ember left unextinguished will eventually burn down your house. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders know that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. Now, before you think this is about being cruel, let me clarify. Greene isn't advocating violence or unethical behavior. He's talking about strategic completion in competitive situations. In business, this means if you're competing in a market, don't just beat your competitor slightly. Dominate so completely that they can't recover to threaten you later. Netflix didn't just compete with Blockbuster, they made the entire business model obsolete. Apple didn't just make a better phone, they created an ecosystem that competitors couldn't match. Half measures create future problems. Your defeated rival will regroup, learn from their mistakes, and come back stronger. Defensively, this law teaches you, if someone is actively trying to destroy your career or reputation, don't respond halfway. Document everything, build your case completely, and then respond decisively once. Make it so thorough that the issue is resolved permanently. Responding weakly or incompletely only encourages more attacks. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect. Let me tell you about Coco Chanel's most brilliant move. At the height of her fashion empire in 1939, Chanel did something shocking. She closed her fashion house completely for 15 years. The fashion world was stunned. Many thought she was finished, but something interesting happened. During her absence, her legend grew. People romanticized her designs. The anticipation built. When she returned in 1954 at age 71, her comeback collection was initially criticized, but within a year, she was more influential than ever. Her absence had made her irreplaceable. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you're seen and heard from, the more common you appear. Think about brands that drop limited editions. Supreme releases products in tiny quantities, creating scarcity. People camp outside stores for days. Why? Because the absence of availability increases desire. In your career, the employee who's always available, always saying yes, becomes taken for granted. The one who's selective about their time, who's sometimes unavailable because they're working on something important, becomes more valued. But timing is everything. You must first establish your value before you can leverage absence. If you're unknown and you disappear, you're simply forgotten. If you're valued and you strategically withdraw, you become desired. Law 27. Create a cult-like following. Steve Jobs didn't just create products, he created believers. Apple customers don't just use iPhones, they identify with them. They'll camp outside stores, defend the brand online, and pay premium prices happily. How did Jobs do this? He understood something profound about human psychology. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something. Become the focal point of such desire by offering them a cause, a new faith to follow. Greene outlines how this works. First, keep your message simple and vague. Use words that sound profound but can mean things to different people. Think different. Just do it. What did these mean exactly? Nothing specific, and therefore everything. Second, emphasize the visual over the rational. People remember images and symbols more than arguments. The Apple logo, the Nike swoosh, these trigger emotional responses. Third, borrow from organized religion. Create rituals. Product launches become events. Have a charismatic leader. Jobs was the prophet. Create an us versus them mentality. Mac versus PC. Fourth, disguise your source of income. Make it seem like you're offering something more than a transaction. It's not just a phone, it's a lifestyle, an identity, a movement. Fifth, create an atmosphere of shared goals. Make followers feel part of something bigger than themselves. Look at Tesla and Elon Musk. Tesla owners become evangelists. They're not just customers, they're believers in a sustainable future. They defend the brand fiercely online. They refer friends constantly. This isn't accident, it's this law in action. You don't need to create a company to use this. If you're building a personal brand, a team at work, or even a community project, the principles apply. Give people something to believe in beyond just the transaction. Make them feel part of something meaningful. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness, a trigger, a pressure point. Find it and you have power. In the 16th century, Italian noble Isabella d'Este wanted a painting from Leonardo da Vinci, but Leonardo was notoriously difficult to deal with. He ignored commissions, left works unfinished, and couldn't be persuaded by money. So Isabella studied him. She discovered his weakness, his obsession with intellectual puzzles and mathematics. She sent him complex mathematical problems disguised as casual correspondence. She engaged his mind. Gradually, Leonardo became intrigued by her. He wanted to please someone who understood him. He painted her portrait, not because of money or pressure, but because she had found his thumbscrew, the need for intellectual stimulation. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness, a gap in their armor. That weakness is usually insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can be a small secret pleasure. Find it and you have leverage. Greene identifies common weaknesses. The need for validation and recognition, most common. Unresolved childhood issues playing out in adulthood. Secret pleasures people indulge when they think no one's watching. Deep insecurities they try to hide. Excessive pride in something specific. Paranoia or mistrust. Now you might think this sounds manipulative. Here's the reframing. Understanding what motivates people makes you better at working with them. Your boss needs validation? Give credit where it's due, and they'll support your projects. Your colleague is insecure about their technical skills? Frame your ideas as building on their strengths, and they'll be receptive instead of defensive. Your client's deepest need is feeling understood? Listen more than you talk, and you'll close more deals. How do you find these pressure points? Listen more than you speak. Watch what people get emotional about. Notice what they brag about, often hiding insecurity. Pay attention to their stories about their past. People reveal their weaknesses constantly. Most of us just aren't paying attention. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Galileo discovered that Earth revolves around the sun. Revolutionary, true, but dangerous. He could have kept his theories to himself, shared them quietly with fellow scientists, and continued his research safely. Instead, he openly challenged the church, flaunting his ideas publicly. The result? House arrest for the rest of his life. His books were banned, his research was suppressed. Compare this to Descartes, who held similar beliefs but was much more strategic. He published his ideas carefully, framed them in ways that didn't directly threaten authority, and survived to influence philosophy for centuries. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. If you make a show of going against the times, flaunting your unconventional ideas, people will think you want attention and consider you a nuisance. They'll find a way to punish you for making them feel inferior. This isn't about selling out or abandoning your principles. It's about strategic presentation. Blend in on the surface while thinking independently beneath. Let's say you work in a traditional corporate environment, but you have innovative ideas. The rookie move is to come into meetings saying, "Everything we're doing is wrong. We need to completely reinvent our approach." Even if you're right, you've just insulted everyone in the room. You've made them feel outdated. They'll resist you on principle. The power move? You say, "Building on our proven track record, what if we tested this variation?" You're introducing the same change, but you've framed it as evolution, not revolution. You've maintained surface conformity while implementing your vision. In social situations, this law is even more critical. People with radical ideas who constantly lecture others become isolated. People with the same ideas who can discuss them diplomatically become influential. Save your battles for things that truly matter. Blend in on the small stuff so you have capital to spend on the important things. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. In ancient times, there was a king who received a gift from a neighboring kingdom, a beautiful horse. No strings attached, just a gesture of goodwill. The king was delighted. He accepted the horse and displayed it prominently. But that horse was trained to return home at night. The enemy now knew the layout of the castle, the number of guards, when they changed shifts. 6 months later, they conquered the kingdom. The free horse was the most expensive thing the king ever received. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. What is offered for free is dangerous. It usually comes with obligations or hidden costs. What has worth is worth paying for. This law operates on a principle called reciprocity. When someone gives you something for free, you feel obligated to give back. Often, you'll end up giving back more than the original gift's value. The free software trial that gets you dependent on the service before the subscription kicks in. The free consultation that subtly obliges you to hire the consultant. The free sample that leads to a purchase you didn't plan to make. Investment advisors who work for free but take commissions from products they recommend. Is their advice truly objective? When someone offers to help you out at work with no clear benefit to them, be cautious. What do they want? When you accept their help, what will they expect in return? Conversely, when you want to build influence, strategic generosity works. But be clear about what you're offering and why. Make it clean, not manipulative. When you pay for something, the dynamic is clear. You're the customer. You set the terms. You demand value. When it's free, the power dynamic is unclear. Who owes whom? Greene argues it's often better to insist on paying, even a token amount, to maintain your independence. Law 48. Assume formlessness. Water. It has no shape of its own. Pour it into a cup, and it becomes the cup. Pour it into a vase, and it becomes the vase. Try to grasp it, and it slips through your fingers. Try to strike it, and your hand passes through harmlessly. This is the final law, and in many ways the most sophisticated. Law 48. Assume formlessness. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead, stay adaptable, accepting change as part of life, staying flexible in your strategies. Throughout history, the most powerful empires fell because they became rigid. They had one strategy, one way of doing things, one identity they couldn't change. Rome dominated the world through its military legions,
But when warfare evolved, they couldn't adapt. The very structure that made them powerful became their weakness. Blockbuster had a clear identity: physical video rentals. When the world went digital, they couldn't let go of their form. They died. Netflix started as DVD by mail, transformed to streaming, then to content creation. They assumed formlessness. Each time the market changed, they changed. In your career, don't define yourself so narrowly that you can't adapt. "I'm a Java programmer" becomes dangerous when the industry shifts. "I'm a problem solver who currently works in Java" gives you flexibility. Don't commit to rigid 5-year plans in a world that changes every 6 months. Have principles and goals, but stay fluid in your methods. The most influential people are hard to pin down. They can relate to anyone. They can navigate any environment. They don't have one way of doing things. Your colleagues can't predict you. Your competitors can't prepare for you. You're always adapting, always evolving, impossible to counter because you have no fixed position to attack.
We've covered 10 of the 48 laws, but here's what's crucial. These laws don't work in isolation. Master practitioners use them in combination. Let's walk through how someone might use multiple laws in a single situation. Imagine you're competing for a promotion. You use Law 3, conceal your intentions, by not announcing you want the promotion. You apply Law 1, never outshine the master, by making your boss look good while quietly building your capabilities. You leverage Law 33, discover each man's thumbscrew, by understanding what the decision-makers really value. You employ Law 6, court attention, by making sure your achievements are visible, but you also use Law 16, use absence, by not being so available that you're taken for granted. You practice Law 38, think as you like, behave like others, by appearing to fit the company culture while bringing fresh ideas. And throughout, you maintain Law 48, assume formlessness, by adapting your approach based on changing circumstances. Remember, these laws also teach you how to defend yourself. When you understand how power works, you can spot when someone is using these tactics against you. Your colleague taking credit for your work? That's a violation of fair play, but you can counter it by better documenting your contributions. Law 6, court attention for your achievements. Your competitor trying to sabotage you. You recognize it because you understand Law 15, crush your enemy totally, and you know to respond decisively, not tentatively. Let's address the elephant in the room. Are these laws manipulative? Can they be used for evil? Yes, absolutely. And that's precisely why you need to understand them. These laws describe reality. They're not prescribing what should be. They're describing what is. Whether you like it or not, power dynamics exist. People use these strategies consciously or unconsciously. You have 3 choices. 1. Remain ignorant and become a victim of those who understand power. 2. Learn these laws purely for defense, to recognize when they're being used against you. 3. Learn and apply them ethically, using them to advance good goals while protecting yourself from bad actors. Greene himself says these laws can be used for good or ill. The same knife that can be used for surgery can be used for murder. The tool is neutral. The intent matters. Use Law 1 to support good leaders, not just to manipulate weak ones. Use Law 6 to promote important ideas, not just for narcissistic attention. Use Law 33 to understand and help people, not to exploit their weaknesses. If you decide to apply these laws, be aware, there's a cost. You may become cynical. You may start seeing manipulation everywhere. You may struggle with genuine connection. Greene warns that the pursuit of power can be isolating. Constant strategy can be exhausting. Not everything needs to be a calculation. The wisest practitioners know when to apply these laws and when to simply be human. The 48 Laws of Power isn't a book about morality.
It's a book about reality. It reveals the uncomfortable truth that power has rules, whether we acknowledge them or not. Some will read this book and become sharks. Others will read it and learn to swim with sharks. A few will read it and realize they don't want to be in shark-infested waters at all, and that's a valid choice too. The most important lesson from all 48 laws is this: awareness is power. Once you understand how these dynamics work, you can't unknow them. You see them everywhere, in politics, in business, in social situations, even in families. If this video resonated with you, 1. Read the full book. We've only covered 10 of 48 laws. Each law has multiple historical examples and deeper nuances. 2. Study power dynamics in your own environment. Watch who rises and who falls. What laws are they following or breaking? 3. Practice one law at a time. Don't try to apply everything at once. Master one principle before moving to the next. 4. Remember that the ultimate power move is knowing when not to play at all. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some goals aren't worth the cost. The game of power is always being played around you. The only question is, will you be a player, a piece, or someone who chooses a different game entirely? The choice, as always, is yours. If this video opened your eyes, like